Nisha J. Rogers, minister, entrepreneur, and author of the Healing Network book series, states the key to believing, receiving, and maintaining our healing is found in our network, which consists of the FAR principle: faith, action, and relationships. She reminds us that God still heals. He healed before, He is healing now, and He will heal again. So now is the time to believe, receive, and maintain your healing. Get your copy today.
Hey everyone. Welcome to the Healing Network broadcast. Good evening on this 30th day of May 2023. Welcome to another Healing Network broadcast. As you know, and for those who don't, I am your host, Nisha J. Rogers, minister, entrepreneur, and author of the Healing Network book, Believe, Receive, and Maintain Your Healing. And I'm so excited for this next discussion tonight. I am so excited about the guest that I have on, who you will hear about momentarily. So tonight's discussion is, as you can see from the flyer, if you saw the flyer, is titled "Your Hairs Are Numbered." Yes, that is a play on the word hair, because we are talking hair care tonight. We are talking about either saving your hair, possibly recovering what may have been lost, or what to do if that is just where you are in life, right? We have evolved over the years. Not having hair is not a horrible thing anymore. People are gladly supporting their beautiful head shapes and scalps, right? All that good stuff. But as you know, on the Healing Network broadcast, we are always bringing a message of healing to the people of God, that we may prosper and live this life abundantly, because that's what Jesus died and came and died to give us, right? Life more abundantly. So I'm so excited to talk to you tonight about your hairs being numbered. And I've taken that from the book of Luke, chapter 12. Luke, chapter 12. And I had it in the message version if you received my email. And I like that version because of the way it reads, right? So I'm going to read it from that version for you tonight. Luke chapter 12, and I will be reading verses 6 to 7. What's the price of 2 or 3 pet canaries? Some loose change, right? But God never overlooks a single one, and He pays even greater attention to you, down to the last detail, even numbering the hairs on your head, right? So if God cares that much about you, then you should care that much about everything that concerns you, not just your wealth, not just where you're going to live, what you're going to wear, not just your education, but also your health, because your health is your wealth, and that produces healthy hair, healthy scalps, right? But let me not get all into that, because I'm going to leave all of that, well, most of that, to my wonderful guest that I have on tonight. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you my special guest tonight on the Healing Network broadcast. And this amazing woman of God, you will be excited to hear from. Your life will be enriched to hear from. And I am blessed that she said yes to join me this evening. So, again, without further ado, let me bring to the platform none other than Nicola Forbes Martin. Now, I want everybody to give her a warm welcome to the Healing Network broadcast. Welcome, welcome,
Thank
Nicola.
you so much. I am so excited to be here.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful.
excited.
I am excited, and everybody else will be excited after they hear from you tonight. So, just to tell you a little bit about Nicola, she is a certified trichologist and holistic health professional, coach, therapist, right? She services women or persons who are suffering from hair loss to help them to recover from that with natural means, right? So she has a wealth of knowledge. She's educated in this field. And more importantly, she's a woman of God. So she not only educates others, her colleagues, her clients, and helps to service them in this capacity, she also is an inspiration to them, giving them pearls of wisdom from a spiritual perspective, because that matters as well. Your spiritual, your mental, all of that. And you know, the Healing Network, that's what we're about. We're about a holistic perspective on healing. You need the faith, you need the action to go along with that, and you need the right relationships, right? So, including in those right relationships are people who have expertise and giftings and anointings in their area and their specialty, which is something that would meet your needs. So, we're going to talk about here tonight. And Nicola, I'm going to let you tell a little more about yourself in a minute, but I just want to give the foundation of this discussion as I lifted the scripture of Luke 12, 6, and 7. And the reason why I chose that, some of you may be wondering, what is he talking about the canaries and considering them? And if he cares about them, how much more does he care about you? Well, in this story, Jesus is talking with his disciples, his apostles, his immediate circle about going out and being bold and not worrying about persecution from the Pharisees, those who are religious, but not in true relationship with God. And so he's telling them not to worry about going out and speaking the truth of the kingdom of God before these people, because God is with them and he cares about them. And if he can care for the other creatures, he's going to care even more so for his children, to the point that he cares about everything concerning us, right? So if he cares about everything concerning us, then he cares about us to the point where our hairs are numbered, right? And that's what he was telling him, that down to the point that your hairs are numbered, that's how much God cares for you and your well-being. And so I raised that scripture, of course, for the play on words, right? Because it's befitting, but also because I would like for us to consider, as God considers us to that detail, we too should consider these things about ourselves to that detail. So I'm so excited to talk about hair and hair care, and specifically people dealing with hair loss, because I think it's something that's really prevalent right now. I don't know if that's the right word or not. Nicola, you can correct me, but I think it's an important topic, and I was blessed to be introduced to this wonderful woman of God by a mutual friend of ours, a marvelous woman in her own right, Yanette. And I'm grateful to her for that introduction and just allowing me to see the blessing in Nicola and what she has to add to people in this day and time. So before I allow Nicola to come forward to tell us a little bit about herself, I want to greet our guests. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? I only see one person in the chat. Hey Auntie Myrna, I see you there. So let us know who's viewing. Let us know who's in the room. Say hello to us in the chat. Say, how are you? I'm here. If you feel comfortable, let us know where you're viewing from. And also, you can go ahead and get started. If you have any questions about hair loss, you can start putting that in the chat. And as we come to that area of topic, we will definitely answer your questions. Hey, Jackie, nice to see you at the Healing Network. We are grateful that you all are here on tonight. And remember, as we do here on the broadcast, this is interactive. It's not just a lecture. So we love to hear back from you. Yes, thank you for the claps. Thank you for the praise hands. We thank you for welcoming Nicola to the Healing Network, and continue to share your comments. Share the video even. Hit that share button and post it on your social media pages and let them know we are talking about a valuable subject that all can benefit from. And you want to not just hold it to yourself, but you want others to be blessed with this information. So we thank you for being here on tonight. So Nicola, tell us a little bit more than I just shared about yourself. Like, how did you come to this? You can tell us something personal that you want to share, but also, how did you come to this place of being passionate about trichology and helping people with hair loss?
So it's twofold because I've always been that hairstylist that cared for my client as a whole person. So it never was coming in to just get your hair done. I wanted you to have what we call your epiphany experience.
Mm,
Whatever it is that you carried a heavy load of, that my prayer was that the Holy Spirit, whether it is while you sleep under the dryer or while we have a conversation, gives you that revelation and allows you to shed that weight. So that's always been a part of my core values and a part of who I am as a hairstylist.
mhm,
So it was an easy flow when I saw the demand for my clients losing hair. I was always their answer to stuff,
mhm,
from if you need a nanny, you need somebody to paint your house, need a roof,
mhm,
to whatever was going on with the hair on the scalp. And so when I came to a space of a stumbling block where people were losing their hair and they're asking me questions and I have no answers for them, I had to search to learn, and that's how I happened upon trichology. So I saw it increase in behind my chair, but I also too experienced it postpartum with my second daughter, who is now 18 years old. And
mhm,
at that time, I had no knowledge, so all I did was cover and cause myself some hair loss issues.
mm,
So from experience, as well as the man behind my chair, the flow almost felt natural. Um, but God placed me in the right place at the right time with the right school and with the right partnerships to learn more and to grow more in that. So that's kind of where that came from. And I will tell you, a big part of it is discernment,
mm,
because you have all the fact, you have all the information that you need, but there's times that there's discernment that comes in and God shares a word, and that word identifies one of the contributing factors or the root source of the hair loss. So
mm,
that's how God uses me in that space. So it blows my mind every single time, because I'm speaking on something that I have no idea about, a person that I have met probably for the first time,
mm.
and yet and still he just opens my eyes and gives me the discernment and the correct way to speak to that person. And a lot of times we shed tears in that space. It's a very, very private space, but it's something that they many times they don't even know that they're carrying.
Wow.
So it's very rewarding. I'm just happy that I'm able to be the vehicle that God uses to the people that sit in my chair.
Whew, that is amazing. And,
That's
and that's just how God works, right? He uses the experiences that He allows us to go through to call us to that area, right? To be used to then bless someone else who
absolutely.
may be going through it or will go through it. So, in addition to that, I ended up writing this book out of the encouragement of a dear friend of mine who happens to be my publisher of the book, and also a entrepreneurial coach, if you will, who encouraged me to write as well because I didn't think it was for me to do it. But the call on my life, God led me to do it. And she said something very interesting to me. She said to me, writing a book is not just so that you can have this material to sell, or to it's also a way of launching your ministry. But what she said to me that was even better than that was that she said it's also a tool that you can give to someone that they can take away with them after they've heard you speak, right? And I thought that was so powerful because in the small amount of time that we have an encounter with someone, they can easily forget what you've imparted to them if they're not intentional about writing it down, recording it, whatever the case may be. So I also want to share with our viewers that you are also an author,
Yes.
and you just released an ebook,
Mhm.
which I think is amazing and timely because it is just that, a tool that you can share with your clients, your family members, your friends, anyone who um, needs like your coaching
Mhm.
or your advising on this area after they've had that session, you
Yeah.
know, with you, right? So tell us a little bit about this book.
So the book came about because a lot of women that I spoke to financially weren't able to sit with a one-on-one for me. And I wanted to give them something tangible that they could start to use to help themselves.
Hmm.
It does not replace me, but at least it gives you a space of understanding what you're going through and what you can do at home to begin to help your hair loss. And so that's out of that was birthed the main solution, your DIY guide to tackling hair loss naturally. And so that's available as an ebook for sale now. But that it was birthed out of that reason because I said I felt like how can I help? Because I need to touch more people than I can actually physically see more people than I actually could sit in my chair with me. And how can I gift something that they will be able to use and they'll have a lot of takeaway because there's so much misinformation out there, and that's the purpose behind I'm writing the main solution, and so that's my goal with that. So I'm very excited because it's it's written in a language that we can understand as a layman's language. It's not the science behind it because the science will go over our head if we don't understand science. So it was meant to be more practical and things that you can do in your daily life to be able to help balance the body because we often have a disconnect. We have our hair as our hair and our body as our body,
Hmm.
but there is all connected. So something as simple as taking antibiotics for one person will they'll see nothing. The next person will have excessive hair shedding.
Mm.
So the amazing thing about it is that we each are created equally, but we respond differently. But understanding that some things can cause this to happen, and sometimes it's permanent, sometimes it's temporary. All it's we could spend all night talking about that. But the purpose of the book really is to enlighten, to inform, and to equip the person who is going through hair loss, who cannot or is not ready to move into a full consultation with me to get some information to be able to help themselves.
Um, Hello, Ruthie. I see you came into the room. Thank you for letting us know you are watching. Um, Please feel free, everyone, to start putting your comments or questions in the chat, and we will be happy to answer them. Um, so, yes, hi, Yanette. That's the wonderful lady who introduced us, our sister friend there. Glad to have you in the room. Yes. So I will be, Myrna, I will be posting the link for you all to be able to get the book shortly. So hang tight. We will definitely post that for you all. So
Thank
tell us, and speaking from that, I love how you said earlier about discerning um, when you're looking at the situation or speaking with someone, because like you just said, everyone's situation is different.
Mhm.
And everyone needs a different type of prescription, if you will, when it comes to any type of recovery or healing or treatment,
Yep.
right? And I think that is so important that we address that the spiritual aspect, which impacts the mental, because all of those things end up affecting the physical, right? We would be surprised how it impacts our hair, whether we lose hair, whether we grow hair. So, why is our spiritual and mental well being important in maintaining our head of hair or preventing hair loss? Would you say?
So definitely when we think about when we have a spiritual routine, taking time to worship and to meditate, it elevates your mood, it elevates your spirit, right? And so when for me in particular, when I start my day like that, my day, no matter what comes my way, I'm able to manage it better. There's no the stress levels are not the same because I'm more on an even keel because of how I started my day. And that's me personally, and how I end my days as well. So when I have that spiritual routine in place, every day, regardless of whether I have church or not. For me personally, it keeps my mind because there's a lot going on in our minds, right? So it keeps me more even keel. It keeps me more focused on a positive than a negative. So we all have thoughts in our minds. I don't care. I mean, no matter how close you are to God, we all have those negative thoughts that come in our minds. And being able to catch that thought, like, no, sister, I'm going to change that thought before it becomes something that overwhelms me.
Hmm.
So when our when we're keen in our spirit and we're understanding that from that perspective, we know how to shift the narrative in our minds.
Hmm.
For
Good.
instance, if somebody's chronically angry, they're angry all the time, they're angry all the time, it can affect your hormone balance, but it can also affect your liver.
Mm.
So I can walk around with a fatty liver. My doctor is clueless. He's like, "What's going on? You're eating right. My tests are looking normal. They won't be normal, but everything looks in place when I have a fatty liver because I live in chronic anger.
Mm.
That chronic anger now affects how my liver functions. I may end up losing my gallbladder, which helps me to digest fats. You see, and so every organ, every body system is connected to an emotion,
Mm.
and how it affects you and I is going to always be different. So we could be sisters, same parents, same events that's happening to us, and how I manage that event and how you manage that event or how your body responds to it is going to be different. Some of us it'll be we're more sensitive to certain things, and our body will respond differently. So I shared that bit about it's really how we think, and if
Mhm.
we allow the anger to fester, and sometimes it's subconscious we're
Mhm.
not aware of it. But if you have a good friend like your net who will pull you by your bootstraps, like,
Mhm.
sister, this is not good. You want to have a good friend like that. And a lot of times people are afraid to tell us that because they're afraid of our reaction um, by them being honest with us. Um,
Mhm.
so that's a blessing that God has given me where I can pick that up and I can have a conversation with a client who I am never met before, and it makes all the difference in how they start to pay attention to thoughts, minds. Because when you're angry, for lack of a better way, you'll pop off on somebody because they look at you the wrong way,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they have done nothing to cause that to happen.
Mhm.
So it's thought. It becomes an action, and
Mhm.
get yourself into a serious situation. These days, somebody will kill you for looking at them sideways. So
Okay.
so all of those things start off really in the
Yeah.
you have to really manage, and they say manage your mindset, and you have to manage your thoughts every minute of every single day. Yeah.
Yeah. Scripture tells us, "Be ye transformed by the renewing
Okay.
of your mind." That's a continual work, right? And you just confirmed that our mindset, because this organism, our whole body, is interconnected. Every part of it is interconnected, and it affects another part. Um, I think that is just so powerful that how it evolves to affecting our hormones, which then connects to affecting our hair, right?
Yes.
Whether we maintain it or lose it. So I think that is so important. And you also mentioned having that person pull you by the coattail, which is part of the principles of the healing network. The faith, right? The action and the relationships. Having the right relationships are key to your healing process, or just having a healthy lifestyle and
Absolutely.
well-being. So I think that is just so powerful and so profound, how that then connects to our hair. So tell us, what is a couple of the common hair loss issues that people are dealing with in this day and time?
I'm seeing a lot of course, traction is one thing that you'll always, when you go to your doctor, they'll tell you everything is traction because of our hairstyles. So weight and tension of hairstyles, even a ponytail can cause traction, right? With your own natural hair. So we're seeing traction. I'm seeing a lot of CCCA, central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia, which is mostly occurs in women of color. It is a inflammatory and immune based type of hair loss. That is what we call cicatricial because it burns out the actual follicle of the hair. So in other words, it kills off the hair from the root source. I've
Mm,
seen a lot of that. I'm seeing also a lot of what we call telogen effluvium, where it is more so an overall shedding. You can't quite find the spot where the hair is falling, but your hair just doesn't look as dense or as thick. We're seeing that. I saw a lot of that during COVID. A lot of telogen effluvium during COVID, and even post COVID, we're seeing a lot of that as well too. Um,
do you think that that is due to the stress of the environment? Is that a culprit or no?
so it's a combination of the actual virus itself and how it affects the body
Okay.
because it puts the body in a state of trauma,
Mm,
and so that can cause it to happen. But also too, the levels of anxiety that people were feeling and still feel because of COVID is one of the reasons why. So
mm,
we say stress, but really it's more of anxiety.
okay.
Anxiety keeps your cortisol level up a high.
Mm,
And so the body itself, it stays in a state of fight or flight consistently. And so because of that, it can't do its normal functions. I'm right here trying to keep you going, but I can't, the body cannot do its natural normal functions because it's staying in that state of keeping you as, I guess, as calm as possible, or fighting that fight or flight that you're feeling because you're anxious all the time.
mhm,
It does affect our sleep as well, and sleep is a big part of our body regenerating itself. If we're not getting enough rest, of course, so it's a cycle. I get anxious, I stay in a state of fight or flight.
mhm,
I
mhm,
know I'm not resting, not eating, or I'm eating too much. So there's levels to the trauma that you may experience just from I got to stay locked up in this house for 3 months and I can't talk to nobody
mhm.
and I can't be social like I used to. So, and there's some people that are still deathly afraid of it right now.
Yeah, that anxiety is just needs to die. I mean, it has really, you know, most of us, if not all, have not lived through a pandemic. So it definitely raised anxiety, and that has affected our well being as a whole. And as we see, also hair and has perpetuated hair loss. And that just goes back to full circle, back to the inward work of your spiritual and mental well being, um, which is why. The Apostle Paul told the children of God in Philippians, in the Philippian church, to be anxious for nothing, right? That's a simple statement. Be anxious for nothing, like as if people can just cut anxiety off. But in the following sentence, he tells us how to do that. He says, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. So that is the spiritual, like you said, how you start off your day, you set the tone for your day. Prayer is so important to help us to crucify that, or just relieve ourselves um, from the grip of anxiety,
I agree.
right? To dispel it, to refute it, to cancel it out of our lives, so that we are not impacting our health adversely, which then results in also hair loss, which causes us to deal with more anxiety because people don't want
Absolutely.
to see their hair
There you go.
um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
be, depleting.
Cycle.
Yeah, it's a whole cycle. So it is so important that we remember that inward work, starting our days off in prayer and that time with the Lord. I have to remind myself to be consistent with that because life can get us going and we tend to put that aside, but that has to be so God is on me. Like that has to be so crucial, critical, and the priority over everything and everyone because then we're no help to our loved ones either if we're dealing with this. So I see more people coming in the room. Hey, Mama Russell. Hey, my cousin Sharice is in the room. Yes, anxiety wreaks havoc. Yes. And it is a lie, and we can defeat it, right? We don't have to accept that we have to deal and live with it. We can defeat it because scripture gives us the remedy, and that's through prayer and building our faith in God and in the word. Yes, thank God for the word. So, so as we have heard Nicola mention, some of the different hair loss that people are dealing with in this day and time. Um, so tell us this.
Mhm.
You talked about one of the things you mentioned was inflammation.
Mhm.
Um, I don't want to get too deep, but that is one of the curses in scripture is inflammation, right? So we know that inflammation is not of God. Um, it is the culprit to a lot of disease,
Mhm.
right? And I think that from my different experiences and studies, that we tackle inflammation by our diet. That's one of the ways, right? We talked about trying to come against anxiety and different things that impact us mentally, which produces the illness in our bodies that can produce inflammation. But there's also um, what is put in our bodies, right? There is a natural way of also combating this disease of hair loss. So you mentioned that that's a part of the title of your book, right? Um, Main solutions. Let me get it right. The main solution, right? I like to play on that word because you put MANE, right? For Maine, but it is the main solution, a guide for tackling hair loss naturally, right? So tell us a little bit about that. How do we now, we talked about the spiritual and the mental, how do we tackle hair loss naturally?
So, when it comes to diet, a lot of the foods that we eat, um, dairy foods can cause inflammation. Sometimes white flour foods can cause it as well. So a lot of the things that are processed, and really, to be honest with you, most of the stuff that we eat now is processed. But there's some overly processed, high sugar. Sugars can cause inflammation. High sodium can cause inflammation in the body, and it's all the stuff that really tastes good. So we've been through Memorial Day with the barbecues and all the stuff that's by the time we're done eating, most of us look like we're 6 months pregnant. You have that bloating, if you have flatulence, your body is not happy with the food you ate. It tastes good going down, but then
Mhm.
that's some kind of digestive imbalance when you have that. If you have to have that flatulence, if you are belching, your body is not digesting the food. And a lot of times it is what we're eating together.
Mm.
So if you eat a meal and you're taking a nap right after, your body has to slow this process down because it's going to take all your energy to digest that meal. It's not itis.
Right. We don't.
But it's literally slowing itself down because it's got to take all the energy that it needs
Mhm.
to do all the body functions. Let you take a nap and really relax so I can digest this food that you done mixed up the watermelon with the corn on the cob, with the macaroni and cheese, with the baked ziti, with the ribs, with a barbecue chicken, with maybe a burger on the side, and it gotta have some cake,
Mhm.
and there's no breaks in between all of that. Now, I'm not saying that we don't eat like that once in a while. But understand that that can't be a lifestyle because it shows up in how our body functions. After a while, the body gets real tired. Then now you got diabetes. And now you may have hypertension from that. Hypertension can be caused from diet, but it can be caused from other things as well. Your thyroid
Yes.
can cause hypertension. Very different things can cause it as well.
Yes.
So really what we eat, we say clean and green, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, preparing your meals at home.
Say that again. You said clean and green.
Clean and green.
Like
So fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, not overcooking your greens, but also understanding that this may sound great, but if you're having any kind of digestive imbalance when eating these foods, then you want to seek some nutritional support because you may need to have some vitamins and minerals that your body's not having to help you digest it, or you may need to help to reset your digestive system. So whereas it's good to have all these things, pay attention to a food that you eat and you may not feel well. So if you're eating a big meal of healthy foods and all of a sudden you're having those same reactions, pull one food away at a time to see which food is allowing you to react in that manner. Because some foods our body just does not digest and absorb well, regardless of how healthy it is. So that's one thing I want to encourage you, that in eating the clean and green, making sure that you're not loading it with dressing, salad dressing and things like that, because then you defeat the purpose. You might as well have the burger. But at the same time, understanding that there's balance in everything in life, right? So I'll also say, and I'll share with you in the note, I was home with a medical emergency and I caught myself watching all these Food Network shows. And it hit me, this is why I want to eat chips. This is why I want to eat French fries, because that's all I'm seeing, because I didn't want anything to kind of make me think too much. That was a rest period. I was like, all I want to do is rest. And so what I was watching, now I don't necessarily want to eat all of that stuff, but I want to eat my healthier version of the crap. And so I had to realize, and it hit me this week. I was like, this is why you want plantain chips all the time. This is why you want certain things, because that's what you're seeing. That's what you're feeding your mind all the time. So now it's time to make a shift to get back to what I really was doing.
That's good. Wait, let's slow up there, because you said feeding your mind. I mean, we're going to circle again.
Yeah.
A lot of things we want to eat is because of what's before our eyes.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what the commercials are for. They're set up for that, right? So we have to give ourselves because we think that healthy way of eating doesn't taste good, right? And that's because we're used to the other foods, which have set our palate. Don't get me wrong. I love a good cake and sweet. I love rice and carb and bread and all of that, right? Fried food, all of that. However, I have learned through my search of a healthier lifestyle that there are natural and healthy options that do taste good. Like, for instance, like I know you're from Jamaica, right? You get all the fresh vegetable fruit straight from the earth. And this sister that I follow, this prophet, I follow her ministry. She mentioned one time that she was allergic to fruit. Right now, fruit is a healthy thing; it's a good thing. And she knew that she was allergic to fruit, but she went to Jamaica, and while she was in Jamaica, she saw all this nice fresh fruit laid out, and it looked so good to her before her eyes, the presentation of it, that she just wanted to risk it and just try it. Right? She usually has a reaction, but she just wanted to try it. And when she ate the fruit, she had no allergic reaction. None. Why? Because the fruit she ate there did not have all of the pesticides and things that they put on the fresh fruit here.
Correct.
Which was amazing to me, right? But if we just take the time to try fresh fruits, and vegetables. There are some things that are good for us that actually do taste good, but it just takes a moment for
Yeah,
our palate to change, right?
that's
And what she saw was a beautiful presentation of the fruit, and it made her want to eat it. So I thought that was powerful, you saying that what you were constantly looking at and seeing was causing you to desire
mhm.
that.
And the irony is that during the time that I was in the hospital, I only ate food that was brought to me that was fresh live juices, whole foods, healthy foods. That's all I ate because I heard God say, "You cannot eat this hospital food and live."
Mm.
And so I was very diligent. I thank God, Yonette, my husband, the ones that brought it to me, because
Mm.
I refused to eat anything they gave me. First of all, the smell made me want to throw up anyway. So it's the irony is that I come home and now all I'm watching is this crazy show. And I want to eat this stuff, but it hit me. You've been watching this over and over, repeats. So we got to really watch without only what we have to guard our ear gates, we have to guard our eye gates as well too.
Right.
Yeah. So something as simple as what you eat, if you watch it all the time, influence you. So yeah.
Yes. Yes, Sharice, in the middle of the night food commercial tempt us. Yeah.
Because you're
Middle
not
of the night,
all of a sudden
all
you
things.
get a snack because you're watching a food commercial. And guys, I'm telling you, those foods, they're airbrushed.
Yeah. They
Airbrushed.
don't even look that good live, right?
They're not because there is food photography. They're airbrushed to look a certain way
Mm.
to make you salivate and want that stuff. Now, who's going to get up and go to McDonald's at 12 o'clock at night because they're 24 hours?
Yeah.
Because the fries, you saw fries on TV.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's
Oh
great for us to eat that stuff.
my goodness. So what are this like, of course, if people need help, they need to set an appointment or they need to get the book or what or something like that to just cater to their particular need. But what are some general like one or two general suggestions that you can give us to prevent hair loss?
So one of the things that we're doing now when it comes to styling here, we're wearing a lot of protective styles.
Hmm.
So we're going weeks and months without shampooing. And a lot of the times, not only we're not shampooing, but they're using a lot of gels or edge controls to actually create that smooth, sleek look.
Hmm.
It's actually sitting on the scalp for an extended period of time and it's actually clogging the follicles.
Mm.
So you want to, if you're going to wear protective style, you want to be able to use some kind of hair and scalp tonic to clean the scalp in between
Mhm.
and avoid putting oil on it every single day because the oil will build up. You're not cleansing. And if you're not detoxing the scalp and exfoliating the scalp like you would do your face and your body, you're building
Mm.
up skin cells as well as um, product, as well as external factors like dust, dirt, and things. We all get it on the scalp because of the environment. So definitely making sure if you, because we're all going to wear those styles. Let me be, I know it's going to happen. It's not going to stop no time soon. Some kind of scalp tonic that's going to be able to clean that scalp in between and just avoid oiling it every single day because that extra oil, when you do take it down, you want to thoroughly cleanse the scalp and the hair and condition the hair so that you can remove some of that buildup. It all can't come off at once
Mhm.
because it's building up over 2 months, 3 months, probably a year or two. But you
Mhm.
want to be able to cleanse that hair and that scalp properly. And like I said, clean the scalp in between. So at least you can, you can use a rose water based um, tonic if you want to do it yourself. I sell one on my product line called Refresh. That is, it has some herbs in there as well, but it also is good just to cleanse the scalp and tone the scalp. So in between, as you wear in your braids or things like that, that you can clean the scalp. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So you can use it as well.
And
That's one thing
yeah.
as far as caring for the hair and the scalp. And
Mhm.
your diet, unless you have limitations from your doctor, drink your water every single day. When you're eating, don't eat on the run. When we eat on the run, we don't digest and absorb our food properly because it upsets our digestive system. So take the time, the 5 minutes to sit and eat your food when you can. A lot of us multitask and we're in the kitchen and I'm eating while I'm cooking, I'm eating while I'm doing this. Take 2 minutes and sit and eat your food. It makes all the difference in how your body digests and absorbs the food.
Mhm.
And this way, whatever nutrients the body can extract from what you eat, it can use it for the body to work optimally. So that's something that we don't realize. You know, you eat on the run, you eat standing up, sit down. Standing up eating makes a difference. You'd be surprised. You'd be so surprised. Eating in a rush makes a difference also too. So you can eat the clean and green and eat in a rush and being anxious. It all affects how the body digests. So your diet, you want to have balanced diet. You want to make sure your meals have proteins, healthy fats, because we need fats. Carbohydrates that are healthy carbohydrates, um, to make sure. And of course, you know, your fresh fruits and vegetables and in moderation, right? So anything in excess becomes error. That's my pastor talking, A.R. Bernard. Shame-
Okay.
I love him. That's my shameless plug. But anything done to the error anything done to extreme becomes error. So too much fruit is not good, even if you're not diabetic. Too much of a thing too much water is a problem as well too. So all those things make a difference. So just creating a balance. And I will always say when you're eating, if you have an issue with eating too much foods, use a smaller plate. Because a lot of times I grew up where clean the plate and don't waste the food. So you cannot get up from the table without cleaning the plate. So that mindset stays with you, whether you realize it or not. So get a smaller plate so you can clean that smaller plate. Make your vegetables half of it, make your protein the next, and so this way you're actually making a better portion control and you still can clean your plate, but you clean a smaller plate.
Right.
So it all, guys, at the end of the day, what makes the body be in balance helps the hair to grow. So the hair follows the body. The body cycles every 90 days. And so one of the things that you'll notice, your doctor will say, take this medication, come back to me in 3 months. Because it takes 90 days for the body. It has a 90-day lag, typically, to be able to see results. Where the hair cells turn over every 28 days. So in 28 days, we're seeing things happen in the hair, but it's taking the body a little bit of time to kind of almost catch up to the hair. So you want to make sure that you're doing things consistently as well too.
Do you have a testimony of um, helping someone recover from hair loss, um, or preventing hair loss? You saw an issue brewing and they were able to stop it, or anything like that you can share?
So I have a client in particular that I will never forget. I was so grateful that I knew what I saw. She came in for a regular shampoo service, and when we parted her hair, my assistant was like, because we look at it and we do a consultation before, and it was void of hair in the center, and it was extremely inflamed. And immediately we knew what to do to help the inflammation. So, and that in that space, we did give her a hair and scalp treatment, but also too, she was able to do a full consultation with me and understand why she was getting things like hives on her body. And that kind of hair loss she has is autoimmune is autoimmune in nature. She was not diagnosed with autoimmune disease, but typically when you see that kind of hair loss, it's the body turning on itself. So for us to be able to see it, address it right away, we're able to stabilize it, we're able to get it to regrow. So there is still a little spot that still has some scarring. However, because I see her once every like 4 weeks or so, for her services, but because of the fact that I was able to see it, I was able to catch it. So now you'd never know because she got so much hair, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, so that she's one that I remember, but there's so many other ones. There's another one in particular that her mother was like, "Your forehead is getting smaller." She was like, "What do you mean my forehead is getting smaller?" Her hairline was growing back.
Going back. Wow, that's amazing. I love it.
So things like that. But the blessing for me is to be able to give information and answers that they can't get anywhere else. The book is going to give you some answers. Of course, it's not individualized to each person because each person is different. But I believe that it's going to give you enough information to be able to understand what you're going through, know if you need more help, but also know how to help yourself. And that's the key behind it. Yeah. So I could have stories. I have stories for days. Ask your net. We could be here till tomorrow.
That is wonderful. Testimonies help give people hope,
Absolutely. And that's what it's about.
is very encouraging, and we overcome by the blood of the lamb and the word of our testimony, right? So I think that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Any parting words as we start wrapping up the discussion? Any parting words that you would have for our viewers pertaining to hair loss?
I think the main thing is not to ignore it. If you're in a space where you didn't have the help and it's gone to a space of where it's scarred. I want you to give yourself the grace to know that you didn't know. I want you to remember that no matter what, you're beautiful, and you've got to tell yourself that. Because there's some cases that we can't help. Um, but give yourself the grace to know that if you didn't, we always say, if I knew now what I knew then what I knew now, but you
Mhm.
didn't know it then. And
Mhm.
so we're charged to apply what we know now, but give ourselves the grace to know we didn't know it. And that's life. That's with raising kids, that's with having a business, that's with the husband, or if I knew then, you didn't know.
Right.
So give yourself the grace to understand that you didn't know then what you know now. But now that you know, you're charged with doing better.
Right.
So take care of our bodies. Take time to take care of yourself. What does that look like? Sit in your backyard, walk at the park. Now the weather is nice, go to the beach. Wherever you find peace and take care of yourself. And everybody uses self care, but self care really is about taking care of your body and your mind.
Mhm.
Um, but give yourself the grace to know that if you didn't know something, um, don't make yourself responsible for what you didn't know.
Mhm.
But take time to pay attention to things like digestive responses to how you eat a certain food, and don't normalize it. So just don't normalize it because everybody in the family had it happen to them. Because everybody had diabetes, don't mean you have to have diabetes.
Come
Because everybody
on.
has pressure, you don't have to have the blood pressure. It is our behaviors and what we've learned over the years, and the diet and the lifestyle,
That's
and
right.
take on too many of everybody else's stuff. It's okay to say no. And that's something that I battle with because I always want to love on everyone. And it's okay to say no or not now. Because when we carry everybody else's stuff, that's when we bear their burdens versus saying, you know what? I can't handle this person today. I can't talk to this person today.
Mhm.
And it might be a kid, it might be a spouse, it might be a parent, just knowing how to say, it's too heavy for me and I'm not going to carry it. So it's a lot of this when it comes to hair loss is it's our behaviors is what we normalize. It's much much more than hair.
Mhm.
But the hair care is an extremely important part of it. But our behaviors and how we lose our hair, how we lose our hair can come from behaviors. It can come from what somebody has told us.
Mm.
Somebody told us that something about ourselves that we believe, and it's subconscious. They tell you you're stupid. They tell you that you're ugly. They tell you that you're no good. And they give them forgive them because they were told that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now we're in a space now where we're charged to be the change makers in our families, to be the change makers in our communities, to change
Yes.
how we do things, and to apologize if you hurt a person, you know, and that's really what it's about. But when it comes to hair, it's bigger than hair.
Mm. That is good. When it comes to hair, it's bigger than hair. You said there's a saying I heard someone say that I just lost my train of thought. It was something you just said about how we
Normalize.
it's about guarding the heart and the mind. It's about guarding it's like oh, this is what it is. Um, the hereditary piece, right? That what's hereditary are the habits, not necessarily the genes, right?
Absolutely, it's the behaviors.
We've inherited the behaviors, not necessarily the illness or the genes, right? It came through the habits which produced the illness, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just think that is powerful and it's something we really should consider.
And
Um,
like I said, you can, and I'm not to cut you off, but you could be
oh, yeah,
genetically predisposed to a thing. It doesn't mean that you have to experience that thing.
yeah.
So, it's our
Well,
behaviors.
then there's that too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. I think this is amazing. We could definitely go another whole hour,
Easy.
but we may have to do a part 2 and come together again. But just to recap, everyone, similar to the principles of the Healing Network, the 4 principles, your faith, start there. Um, make that prayer life, that meditation life, that giving God your first in the morning. Start there with preserving your health and seeing the fruit of that in your hair. and then move into the diet. Does exercise? We didn't talk about that, but I'm sure that plays a part because that helps
Part.
to regulate our mental state, body levels, all of that good stuff. And then the relationships, the right relationships, who's speaking into your life, who's covering you, who will pull your coattail. Um, give all your cares over to God because He cares for you. Your hairs are
Absolutely.
numbered. So consider all of these things as we look to have a healthy lifestyle, which will produce healthy hair, right? And prevent hair loss that we're able to catch, right? So I'm going to put in the chat Nicola's information. If anyone would like to get a free discovery session with her, you can simply, and I'll put it in the chat now, go to bit.ly/. Nicola Consult.
Mhm.
Okay. And also for those of you who want to get her book, and I would highly recommend it, you can go to bit.ly main solution book.
Ebook.
Putting that ebook.
Mhm.
Okay, putting that in the chat now. bit.ly/main solution ebook to get this valuable information that you would need. And also buy for your family members, buy for your friends. You got any birthday gifts you got to get coming up? Get the book, get it for Christmas coming up, whatever the occasion. Bless someone with this information. You can follow her also. Give your handles on social media for the people.
They could do Instagram at Nicola Forbes Beauty, and Facebook at Nicola Forbes Beauty. So I'll type that in for you.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions, everyone, before we end tonight's broadcast? Any questions? This has been amazing, very enlightening, informative, and encouraging and inspirational. So needed in this day and time we're living in. We do not have to be defeated by our environment. Um, we can change our habits, um, and healing is possible for you. Amen.
Amen.
So
Amen.
let me put her handle for social media in the chat. Make sure you all grab that. So follow her on Instagram and Facebook. If you are not following me, follow me. Yes. Hey, my Nisha J. Rogers on all platforms. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like this video. Share it with your loved ones, your friends, your colleagues, so that they can be blessed with this information because so many women are suffering in silence, um, and it's impacting their health overall because they're dealing with the anxiety of hair loss, the depression that comes with it, and it is impacting their physical well-being as well. So, Nicola, thank you
For having me.
for joining.
I had a great time.
This is amazing. I mean, this is gold, and it's such a dear subject to my heart because many of you don't know. I used to be a hair. Some of you know I used to be a hair care technician, if you will, some years ago, and I always care about hair care and want others to have a healthy head of hair if you are able to still have it. And if not, know that you are still beautiful and you just rock that head, all right? Rock your baldy, and you will be just as beautiful as anyone else with a full head of hair. Because the hair does not wear you, you wear the hair, right? Is that right?
Nor does it define you.
That's right. It does not define you. And what was that quote you said about hair? Is more than hair. Is
It's more than hair. It's
more
so
than
much more than hair. It's bigger than
it
hair.
is so much more than hair. It is bigger than hair. Take care of yourself, everyone. Treat yourself well by incorporating that healthy lifestyle that you know you need to have. All right, you really enjoyed this. Hi, Lillian. Really enjoyed this session.
Thank
Dry,
you. Thank you.
very helpful. It was very helpful. Awesome session. Thank you, Jackie. Yes, Nicola is amazing. So make sure you follow her. And again, everyone, we thank you for joining us on the Healing Network broadcast, where we are always bringing a message of healing to the people of God that we may prosper and live this life abundantly. God bless you all. Have a blessed evening, restful night's sleep, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Good night.
Good night, everybody.